What's up, world, and welcome back after a long hiatus. This is episode 131 of the Take One podcast. I am August C. Jones, and so on this episode, I wanted to talk about something that has been kind of like a big thing within the, I ain't gonna say movie industry, but as far as like superhero movies, it's something relatively big. Let's just say that. So I don't know how long this is gonna go. I know I'm going to talk about this for a minute. So this is going to be the whole episode, this one subject. And it's all about Scorsese's comments about Marvel and everything else, and just my thoughts, my general thoughts on just the whole thing. And surprisingly, my solution, or, my proposed solution on how things can change. And we'll get to that and you'll understand more of what I'm talking about. So, if you guys have been living under a rock, or you haven't really been paying attention to it, don't know who Martin Scorsese is, which you should. He is a well-known director who has directed some of the greatest films in cinematic history and whatnot. And so he has came out and say about a week or so back, after an interview, and put out there how he feels about Marvel films. Now, Marvel films are just among one of just the biggest juggernaut empire things that have taken over just the movie industry. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, it's everybody knows Marvel now. If you didn't before, you know now. And all the films or whatever. If you haven't seen them, you still know of them. Avengers, Black Panther, all of them, whatever. Thanos, everything. And so Martin Scorsese has came out and put out I would say, non-valid opinion. So just to kind of like summarize, he basically came out and said in the first, when he was asked about it, that Marvel films aren't cinema, that they are the closest thing that he can relate them to are theme parks, that it's just, they're not cinema. you know and going off those, my thoughts was, no, they are cinema. They are. And he goes on by basically saying that they don't convey the human expression and emotion and everything else, but they do. And a part of his comments was saying that he doesn't watch these films. He said that he's tried, but he can't watch them. And when you start off a comment like that, you basically throw everything else out the window. Now, I've spoke with my brother intensively about this, and so I'm about to just give out my points because I still stand firmly behind what I believe. So if you don't watch these movies, how can you have a valid opinion? And it does say that he tried, but we don't know. He didn't elaborate on it. We don't know how far he got into he tried. We don't know how many films he have watched. But if you say you don't watch them, that's basically putting I tried at a very low volume. So when I hear those two things back to back, that's basically saying maybe you watched a little bit of a movie and then you just kind of went on about your day, or you were in and out of a movie and you just like, I can't deal with this and blah 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 and all that stuff, which is cool. If movies like that aren't your flavor, you don't have to watch them. And I kind of related to my whole thought process in kind of and I know I'm jumping around here, just hang on with me. I kind of like related to just my thought process in music nowadays. Now, I don't listen to the radio. There are certain, I kind of stick to like what I like, certain artists that I like and everything else. And I listen to a lot of old school and everything else. But I don't really listen to a lot of music nowadays, or a lot of the artists, because I've heard a lot of the artists. Now, I'm not about to sit here and listen to every single thing that every artist put out, but I've listened to a lot of artists like Lil Yachty or Uzi Vert or whatever, and those artists aren't my flavor. You know, I've listened to them and I can't do it. I really can't do it. But I have tried to listen to the artists. I've tried to listen to what they put out, and they just don't appease me. And I do feel like there is a lot of trash out there in like radio land. I do feel that way. But also that's not disregarding a lot of good, artists and good music that's out there. There's certain artists that I can get on with, and there's a lot of artists that I can get along with, or used to or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not disregarding that. But I do understand that there is a lot of bad music out there, so I don't really listen to a lot of them. I don't go out and just say like this is horrible, this is bad, and just down it. It's just I understand that even though I might feel that music nowadays, I can't really get it. I can't like relate to it. I do understand that there is a lot of people that I know that I'm cool with, family members and all this stuff that like that music. So obviously they're doing something right, whether it's just like stupid music that people just don't care. It has a nice beat, and they just dance to it. And that's cool. That's what they like, whatever. The same thing could be said for movies like Marvel. You may not look at it as like a Godfather or The Shining, which yeah, I didn't think that was a good film. But in any case, there's a lot of people that put it at a high regard, and just other films that you can just say that like these are masterpieces or these are great films or whatever. You're not gonna put Marvel films up in there, but they are great within their own right in everything that they're doing. You may not like them, whatever. That's cool. But these films aren't made to be masterpieces. They're not made to be those type of films. They are made to, of course, make money, just like every other film in like cinematic history. No film has ever been made that they didn't want to not make money, And if they did, then hey, I mean, good on to you. But every film in history every filmmaker in history wants to make money off of their film. But these movies are made for your enjoyment. Some of them are better than others. And that's with every film. Scorsese has made films that are better than other films that he's then made. Not everybody likes every single one of his films. You might pick one or two films here and there that are bad, whatever. But there are all different types of films. I mean, there are B movies out, that are just purposely bad. So there are all types of films that do all different types of things. Marvel films, I can say, are the type of films that they can do, just the spectacular stuff, fighting and explosions and everything else. But at the same time, they do garner like, like the character pieces, that other films do. They might not do it in the same way, but you can follow the journey of Tony Stark, the character from the first Iron Man all the way to Endgame. You can follow Thor's adventure in his movies. You can follow Captain America, Steve Rogers in his movies. You can do that. Even in just one movie, you can do that. And the question is not that they don't do it or you think that they don't do it. The question is, do they do it right? That's the thing. That's the question that can, like, basically you can put up in the air. You can look at these films and be like, I don't think that they did that right. I don't think that they did the human, like, expression or, conveyed the human emotion or whatever right. Then that's the question you can throw up. But to say that they don't do that, that's just totally off the rail. That just shows that you don't watch enough of these films to know that they do that. And that's why a lot of people like these films. That's why they are so big, is because they do that well. Whether you might think that they don't, I mean, that's your opinion. But in my opinion, I believe that they do it well. Not every single one of them, but they do it well. And him comparing it to theme parks and just stuff like that, I can say yeah, I can agree with that. You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with theme parks. There's a reason why a lot of theme parks are around. That's why a lot of people constantly go to Disney World. That's why a lot of people constantly go to like Six Flags and other places like that, Busch Gardens, Universal Studios. People want to be entertained. A lot of people don't want to have thought-provoking material in front of them. A lot of people just want to just have fun. That's why a lot of these movies that I might think is like just stupid, people enjoy. You know, I seen movies this year where I talked about people that don't study movies or just look at movies the same way that I do, or people that I talk with that like really be into movies. They might like a movie that I just hate. I just think like it's just horrible, and they might just like that was really good. It's all in perspective. It's all in how you view it. I mean, a lot of times you want to go into something to have fun. With Marvel movies, you go into there to have fun. You don't go into there to like go into the human psyche to dissect this and that. You might get that from a character if it's done well and written well and everything else, but for the most part, at its core, like you're going to go in there for fun. And it's like, to down that, it's like, why? Like, you're a person that's been in this industry that know a crazy amount, and you've done this for years, and you know this. Why would you put down something that another filmmaker is doing? And you're putting down other filmmakers that look up to you as a great director that you inspired. So you're telling them that what they're doing isn't cinema, isn't art. And that can be downing, to a person like that. It's like, you're my hero and you're saying what I'm doing isn't cinema. It's like, no, it is cinema. It really is. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that right there shows that he really is not paying attention to these films. Like, because if he really looked at these films and actually studied them, he would see that there are cinema. They're not like the movies he does or people like him do, other directors and stuff like that. But at the same time, they are real cinema. They do convey a lot of human emotion and everything else. I myself and like other people can relate to these characters, can relate to what they're going through. They're not just, oh, I'm a superhero, beat up the bad guy, I won, movie in. It's not that way. A lot of times you have to, like, the characters go through something to get to a certain place to where they may win. You can literally go through all these movies and break down a whole bunch of stuff. And not only that, well, his first comments is that he doubles down on it, where he's talking about they're invading cinemas and we need to have the movie theater step up and tell them to play, and it's like, why go on a rampage to try to stop these films? Like, why is it that big? They're not invading cinemas. They're not. I can speak on experience that there is, I basically put it like this. I go see almost every single movie that comes out in theaters. At least major films. I see a lot of indie films throughout the year or whatever, but I see a lot of films. Over 100. I guess you could say, I ain't gonna say I spend more time at the theater than I do at home and all this stuff, but I do spend a lot of time at the movie theaters. I go to the movies over 100 times within a calendar year. And so, and a lot of times it's just seeing a movie maybe once or twice, or just seeing other new movies. But there are a lot of original independent type films that come out that, that are like higher numbers than superhero films. Like, when you think about it, how many Marvel films came out today? Well, it came out this year. It was like 3. How many DC films came out this year? 2. How many independent original films came out this year? I don't have an exact number, but I can tell you it's way more than 2 and 3. I can tell you that. You know, it's just the thing of people are looking at what's in front of them instead of looking at the big picture. That's what it mainly is. And I'm gonna get to this point because from what he says is leading to what other people think and everything and everybody else saying. But everybody likes to put it out there as, there isn't no originality in Hollywood. That there all it is prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes, and that's it. There's no originality in Hollywood, which is a false claim, which is a false observation. Because there are a lot of original, just like there are a lot of remakes and reboots and sequels and prequels in theaters, there are a lot of independent original films being made. It's just nobody goes out to see them. Nobody goes out to see him. And for a director like him to get mad at that fact, it's like you probably can get mad at the money it makes, but you can't be mad that it takes up all of the cinema. Like, it's not like we have a Marvel or DC or comic book movie come out every single week that's eating up all the profit. Now I can see if that was the case, then yeah, you can go ahead and be mad, and you have a case to argue. But the last comic book movie that came out was Joker, and he was behind it. He was one of the producers behind that movie. So, like, how I don't know. I guess you could say it's a contradiction. But even before that, what was the last one? It was Spider-Man, Far From Home. When did that come out? In July. I went to go see that when I was out in Arizona visiting family. Few and far in between. You see the large gap. July, September. There's a large gap in between there. And before that, what, Endgame? It's just I find it hard to believe. I don't know. I don't see how he can look at it and be like, they're invading. They're not invading. You only had 5 superhero or 5 comic book superhero type movies and it came out this year. All the rest of them are just other type of films, independent. I mean, you can put out prequels, sequels, remakes, and everything else, but when you comes down to it, you only have 5 comic book movies that came out this year. Only 5. That's not invading cinemas, and I don't see how he can say that with a person of his stature, of like just knowing what he knows, and more than likely he sees a lot of movies too. It's like, how can you say that they're not invading? It's just, those are the movies that are put out there. Those are the movies that get a lot of marketing. Now that goes into the point, which I'm gonna get into. But before I get into it, well, you know what? I could probably go back to, because Scorsese. Oh, I can't even say his name. Scorsese had came back and retracted his well, I ain't gonna say retracted, but he basically, I guess you could say, backpedaled. But I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So the argument goes on, accompanied with that like I said, people argue that there isn't a lot of cinema and whatever, and a lot of original material out in cinemas now. And one of the things that me and my brother talked about was, he made a valid point, but I'm gonna go against it in a good way. Was that, like, China does make a lot of the worldwide box office total and everything else. So in like different parts of the world, there are different, expectations when it comes to films. So what we might like in here in the US, they like something totally different in China. They like totally something different in India. They like something totally different in South America. So all across the world, they like different things in cinema. When it comes to China likes the big explosion. They like the movies like the Fast and the Furious. I don't even know if they really like Star Wars, because I heard that they don't really particularly. I don't know what, but Marvel films are one of those films where they really like, and they really do like these films, Transformers and everything else, and which is true. They make up a big portion, even bigger portion of the box office than our domestic does. Because what our domestic probably might be 1/3 of the total box office that a movie may make or whatnot. But one thing to counter that, if you take away the box office, the international box office, take that away, and just look at the domestic box office at these movies, you still have a lot of people going to go see an Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, a Shazam, Joker. You're still having more people see those movies than they are seeing a movie like The Lighthouse or a movie like Gemini Man. I'm not entirely sure if that's just original material, but let's just, for the sake of the argument, let's just say, or just any other original movie that it came out this year. Like, you have people seeing those movies more than they would see an original material, which kind of like goes against, you can't say that they are not original if you don't see them. And another point that my brother made to that was that, it has to do with the marketing, because he brought up a point to where, when I went to go see Brightburn earlier this year, he's never heard of it. He's never even seen the trailer or whatever around the time that I was going to see it. So I told him about it, and that's when he first heard about it. And that was literally, what is it, the day, I think it was the day of or the day after I seen Brightburn. But it was like literally, it wasn't even before the movie came out or anything like that. So, and he brought that up, and I'm like, yeah, that is correct. A lot of the marketing does have everything to do with it. Not everything, but a lot to do with it. If stuff ain't out there marketed to the masses, to me, to you, this and that, like that, I'm not gonna know about it. I'm not gonna know about this movie being in theaters and all this stuff. Therefore, I will not see that movie because I don't know that it is out there. The thing to counter that is that everything all begins with me, you, him, her, they, them, everybody. All of us that go in our pockets, pull out our credit cards, our money, and pay to go see these movies. And this is where the solution is going to come. So going into that fact, it starts with us, because we tell these movie studios what we want to see with our pockets. If we're putting more money into an Avengers Endgame, a Captain Marvel, a Joker, Shazam, Aquaman, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, we're putting more money into movies like that, or a Hobbs and Shaw. You can put that a part of it. It's part of prequels and sequels and stuff like that. Reboots and all that stuff. If we put more money into Aladdin, Lion King, and stuff like that, then that's telling the movie studios that those are the movies that we want to see. Episode 9 Star Wars, we want to see that. Lighthouse, I don't want to see that, because I'm not going to go see that. A movie, Kubo and the Two Strings, which I thought was a really good movie. Didn't come out this year, came out a couple years back. Nobody really went to go see that movie. That's telling Hollywood we don't like them type of movies. Just like earlier this year, the same director that made that movie made Missing Link that came out this year, which I loved. I thought that was a really good movie. It's a stock animation. Both of those movies are stock animation. Nobody really went to go see it. So that's telling Hollywood we don't like them type of movies. Gemini Man came out recently. Nobody went to go see it. Came out, debuted at number 3 in the box office, top 5. That's telling people we don't want to see it. We don't want to see movies like that. We don't want to see original pieces. We don't. That's what you're telling Hollywood. That's what you're telling these movie studios. That we don't want more of these because we're not paying to go see them. Y'all can make them all you want, but we're gonna say they're not original, but we're gonna go see a new Avengers movie. Like how can you say one thing but then you don't follow up behind it? If you're fussing about originality and all that stuff, pay to see these movies, which will start a domino effect. If you go see these if you go see these independent original films, say all of us go see them. That's gonna tell us movie studios that we want more of these films. We want more originality. So they're gonna make more originality, which they're going to sit there and make them. And then if that makes money, they're gonna pump more into the marketing. Because from a business standpoint, would you put more marketing into something that you know is going to bring in the big bucks, which is going to make you a little bit richer or a lot of bit richer? Or if you're going to put you're going to put money in marketing a product that may or may not break even, And everything begins with us as moviegoers. Whether you're just casual or you're a person that goes every week like I do, it all begins with us. If you don't go see Lighthouse this week or with however long it's in theaters, they're not going to make more movies like that, If you're not going to go see The Current War, then they're not going to make more movies like that. If you're not going to see movies like that, they're not going to put a whole bunch of marketing into it. They're not going to put it out. This movie is out. Go see it. They're not going to do it because marketing costs. They're going to put a crazy amount of marketing in these big budget movies because you're going to go see them. And I'm not saying every one of them, but they're going to put marketing in movies that more than likely going to appeal to to what people like. If it's a great big action film or whatever with Jason Statham and The Rock, they're gonna put all the promotion behind it, all the marketing money behind it, that they can, because they know they're gonna make a lot of money off of it. It all starts with us. That's where it all starts with. And all these actors and directors over here crying, talking about like Marvel, these superhero movies are taking over and this and that, bring back real cinema. It's like, well, at the same time, you got to realize that the movie industry has changed. Just like the music industry, like I've realized, has changed. I might not like it. I might think that it's horrible. I might think a lot of the stuff out there is trash. But a lot of people out there think that it's treasure. Just like with movies. They might think it's trash. They might think that they're taking over and everything else. But a lot of people like it. That's why they bring in the big bucks. That's why they make that money. It's because Hollywood is changing. We're saying, us as a consumer, that these are the movies that we like. And I'm not going against it. I'm not saying don't go see those movies. Go see whatever you like. But if you're going to sit there and complain that there's no originality in like Hollywood, and you don't go see the original films or at least look them up, how can you argue? And the thing is, it's like that's my brother said, marketing and all that stuff. Like I said, it's a simple thing. We pay to go see these movies. They're gonna put money into putting out more of these movies, and they're gonna put more money into marketing these movies to the people because we want to go see them. Then on top of that, it's a lot of movies, that might not have a lot of marketing, but it's a simple fix. Just like with anything in Google. If you don't know something, you Google it. You go to the movies instead of going to see that sequel, prequel, reboot, remake movie. Why don't you go see a movie that you haven't heard of? Go look it up. Go look up on AMC. What movies are playing? Oh, The Lighthouse. Never heard of this. Let me look up the trailer. Oh, this look interesting. So instead of going to go see Countdown, the generic horror film that just came out, or going to go see It Chapter 2, or going to go see, whatever other movie, Maleficent 2, Zombieland 2. Instead of going to go see those, I'm going to go check out The Lighthouse. See how that is. You see it, you don't like it, hey, whatever. You don't like it. You like it, hey, you like it. You spent money, is good. But that's all it takes is just a simple lookup. A lot of times when I go to the show, I end up coming across movies that I never seen the trailer for, but I'm like, oh, there's a new movie out. Let me go see it. I mean, a portion of it is filling my quota of like going to the movies a lot. But at the same time, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't find out a lot of these movies that I really truly like. You know? It's a lot of movies that I just end up stumbling across and end up really liking it. You know? So, I mean, you never know what you'll like until you go out. And that's all it takes is just a simple lookup. You can look up Box Office Mojo. Find out what movies are coming out. You can go on Atom Tickets, Fandango, whatever, AMC Theaters. You can go on there and see what other movies is coming on. Independent films, if they're showing near you, go see them. You know, if the trailer looks good, looks decent enough, interesting, go see that movie. Other than that, no one has anything to talk about. Because like I said, it all starts with us. If we don't pay to go see these original films that are coming out every single week, if we're not paying that, the studios aren't going to like make them like keep pumping them out like that. I mean, they're still going to come out, but they're not going to be crazy to green like this and that, and put marketing behind it so that you will know that these movies are out. You know? Because I guarantee you, a lot of people, if you were to ask anybody, if let's say that you go to the movies as much as I do, go to one of your friends, family members, and ask them, how many movies have you seen this year in theaters? In theaters. How many movies have you seen this year? And let's say if they say 5, ask them what 5 movies have you seen? And if they're the people they're talking about, there's no originality in Hollywood, but yet they're going to go see Hobbs and Shaw. They're going to go see a Marvel movie or DC movie and this and that, or you know, just a movie that has an existing IP. It's like you're part of the problem. You're arguing. You're mad at yourself. You're mad because you're not helping the movie studios. You know, it's a domino effect. It really is. Movie studios are going to cater to what makes them money. And that's really all of what it is. So getting back to Scorsese, he has doubled back on what he said and basically put out that, you know, just stuff that I was saying. Basically just saying that they're a new art form. Which I guess you can just say, yeah, they're a new art form. I mean, it really isn't, but I mean, I guess you could say he's trying to be nice about it, and he's basically saying that like it may not be for everybody, but he gets it, and that's all we wanted him to say. He didn't have to go on this whole what seemed like to be a campaign when Francis Ford Coppola then came out and said that they're despicable, and you got other actors and everything else trying to come out and, you know, talk like, I back you up, this and that. You didn't have to do all that, you know. If you didn't like it, just say, I don't like these films, they're not my taste, but I do understand that Hollywood is changing, and that's basically what he said. It's changing. Hollywood is different from what it was 10 years ago, what it was 15, 20, 30 years ago. It's totally different. So there is a different expectation on filmmaking. Horror films are totally different from what it was. Looking at Countdown today, and I just really seen the Shining like not too long ago for like really the first time all the way through. Totally different film, you know, totally different, you know, filmmaking, you know, and even just Alien, totally different filmmaking, totally. So that's just to show you, that's a testament to show you that Hollywood is changing, that everything is not how it used to be. And it's like, you just have to conform to that. If not, then you're just going to be behind. You're going to be that person that looks bitter, that sounds bitter, and you don't want to be that person. You just truly don't want to be that person. So looking at all of his like comments and everything else, I see kind of what he was saying. It was just how he went about saying it. You know, if you go about trying to just tear down a movie studio and filmmakers that try to make good and exciting films for the soul, you know, or just have you look at it, it's like you're gonna look very bitter because you're saying that like, oh, well, they don't like my films, but they like their films. Their films isn't cinema, but mine is. It's just you sound you don't sound you don't come across too good when you do that. You really don't. Either you don't say anything about it or you just put it in the way like, I don't like them, but I understand why people do, and this and that. And that's all of what it boils to. But I also believe that his comments end up coming from a place of, like I said, bitterness. And I kind of see him going the route of a 50 Cent. How 50 Cent came out and he was talking about Ja Rule and this and that just to really promote and get people on the bandwagon to buying his album and stuff like that. And how he did for his second album and stuff like that. I'm not saying that he is, but that's what it looks like, because these comments didn't come out earlier this year or when the movie wasn't about to come out. These comments came out around the time that his movie is about to premiere on Netflix. That the Irishman that he is promoting and trying to get out there is coming out, and now all of a sudden Marvel is in cinema. They're invading theaters and stuff like that. It just seemed like you're just trying to get publicity. I mean, all publicity is good publicity, as like a lot of people say. You're trying to get publicity for your new movie. And this is kind of like the wrong way of going about it. A lot of times you may turn people off by just certain things you may do. And I don't know a lot of people that are turned off because I've seen the Irishman trailer. It looks awesome. It looks awesome. I just seen it for the first time like last week. I didn't really see it when it first came out and everything else. But looking at the trailer, it looks awesome. It looks like it's going to be really good. It's just you don't need to go further and, down another studio, another filmmaker's work and all that stuff. Just go out there and put out your project. I mean, it's getting good reviews. It's getting positive reception. Just go off of that. You don't need to do anything negative to your name or have people look at you a certain way just to get publicity, get people to look at you and be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's coming out with this. Because it's like, that's what it looks like. You come off bitter, and then on top of that, you make it seem like you're just doing this for attention because of your movie, which is the wrong way to go about it. But I mean, he came back and he basically kind of like repackaged his thoughts, and I appreciate that. As a person that do appreciate Marvel films, that do love these films, some of them more than others, but I still love these films. These are my type of films. I appreciate that. But at the same time, me as a moviegoer and a constant avid moviegoer, I do like just disagree with like his thoughts and just his opinions and with all that stuff. And I mean, I have my opinions and everything else. You have your opinions. She, he, whatever. Everybody has their own opinions. But I feel like if you're gonna be mad at somebody, talk to the moviegoers. Talk to us. Tell us, like, we need you guys to go see more original films. Don't do anything like, don't go see Marvel. Just say, we need you to go see more original films. We need this type of art, this old-fashioned type of art can still live on through, movies today if you guys just go ahead and see these films. That's all you need to say. Just put more umph and emphasis behind, we need you to see these films. Don't down another film studio or, whatever. Just say that, just talk to the audience, talk to us moviegoers, and man, we need more original pieces out. We need you to go ahead and support this. That's all y'all need to say, you know? And how we can go about, getting more original material out, whether it's big budget or low budget. I mean, that could be something that Hollywood could do, or maybe like somebody can find out some type of formula where you can mash the two. But I mean, as of right now, it really begins with us as moviegoers. It really begins with us, so hey, that was just my thoughts. I probably forgot a few things I wanted to touch on, but yeah, those are my thoughts. I knew I was gonna go long. I knew I was gonna go long on this one. That's why I made it a thing to where this is what I only wanted to talk about on this podcast. But yeah, those are my thoughts, and that's it. So I'd like to thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Take One Podcast. I will have more episodes coming out this week because I have a lot to get into. Have really a lot to get into. More movie reviews, more this and more that. I have more ideas of what I want to do for this podcast as well as other podcasts I'm going to put out on the channel and everything else. And yeah, so thank you guys for listening, and hope to catch you guys on the next one. Stay tuned for more stuff that I'm gonna be putting out on my YouTube channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell? Make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.